Alright, I'm back, so we're going to finish talking about pressing the hair, and then we're going to go into talking about specific styling techniques and styling for long hair, and I'll give you a few pointers. So a hard press, as we learned before, removes all of the curl, and typically with the hard press, it's only recommended when the results of a soft or medium press are not satisfactory. So kind of like going back to the whole point of when you have a hair iron, you're not going to jam it up to 500 degrees, try to flat iron someone's hair, start cool and increase the temperature as needed. It's easier to increase the temperature, not so much easier to repair damaged hair. So when you're doing the hard press, if you do something that's not satisfactory, you have to go back and repress. You can add oil if needed. Also know that with the hard press, try the soft press. If the soft press doesn't work, try the medium press. Sometimes the client may even talk to the client, say, hey, have you had your hair pressed before? What were the results? What did you like about it? What didn't you like? And they'll guide you down that direction. If they know the terminology and they say, well, I had a medium press, or they said they did a soft press, it wasn't enough, then try the medium press, add a little more tension, see if you can make it smooth, and then follow up with the client. In modern day technology, we use phones to communicate. We don't call one another, so they can send you a text, they can DM you on Instagram. Also know that touch-ups may be necessary when the hair becomes curly again due to perspiration, dampness, or other conditions. If the client is, I've had people that would go to church and the church didn't have good ventilation because it was a historic building. Their hair would, frizz up at the root and it would get a little matted. Then you have to go in there and repress. Not a big problem. Easier to, increase temperature than to re-glue the hair on. So you can do a touch-up if needed. They can come back in the salon, charge them for some kind of price. Just know that when you're doing a touch-up, you're not going to shampoo the hair and take everything out unless the hair's really greasy. So you want to use good judgment, and this comes with time and experience. Practice on your mannequins. If your mannequin starts to burn off and the hair burns off, that's fine. Your mannequin will not complain. Your mannequin loves everything. If the mannequin starts talking, it's a problem. So there's just some recommendations. You want to avoid adding too much oil, and I know you're going to say, well, why? Isn't more always good? Well, not quite. You add enough oil in the hair first. If you add too much oil, you'll know, because it can actually sizzle and it can scorch the hair. Too much oil can also attract dirt and make it appear very greasy, and the client doesn't want to look like that. You also don't want to get a lot of oil on the scalp. Focus on applying the product in the mid shaft and the ends, and then feathering through the scalp with your fingers. If you add too much oil up here and pull it down, your scalp will get saturated and it will irritate the client. Keep the comb clean at all times. Avoid overheating. You can prevent smoking or burning of the hair during the pressing treatment by drying the hair completely after it is shampooed, and by avoiding excessive application of pressing oil. So test a comb always. Use a moderately warm comb to press short hair, temples and back of the neck. You may also use a temple comb, which is about half the size of regular pressing combs, so make a smaller one. With your hair pressing, know the client's hair history, what's in it. Educate them that, hey, this may fade color hair a little bit. Even if we do it correctly, give them products to follow up at home. And if you're pressing hair, one of the things I want to tell you is that when you're blow drying, use the pick attachment to stretch the hair out, make it easier to blow dry, and put a heat protectant in when the hair is damp, because that will aid in moisturizing the hair. Remember that oil seals the cuticle, so if you don't seal in a moisturizer and you moisturize after using oil, all you're doing is adding dryness because the cuticle's closed. So know that there's some special considerations for pressing fine hair, or follow the same procedure for normal hair, while avoiding the use of hot pressing comb too much or using too much pressure. So use a low heat setting and lower pressure on fine hair. To avoid breakage, apply less pressure near the ends of the hair, and after pressing the hair completely, style it. You can press the hair and leave it pressed as is, or you can go in with a curling iron or Marcel iron, curl it. Typically with pressed hair, I'd say avoid using steam rollers because they put water back in and that may cause frizzing, and you may not want that. So do hot rollers, anything else other than using water. Pressing short or fine hair, extra care must be taken at the hairline. When hair is extra short, the pressing comb should not be on too hot because the hair is fine and it will burn easily. A hot comb can also cause painful burns and may result in scars. In the event of an accidental burn, apply 1% gelatin violet jelly to the burn and refer them immediately to a physician, because what can happen is if you don't get there in time or you burn it too bad, there can be permanent hair loss and you will get sued. but covering your steps by having a license and making sure your license isn't stated, and you're not just doing this because you want to flat iron someone's hair. Take the right precautions and you will protect yourself from a lot of liability. Pressing coarse hair, you want to apply enough pressure so the hair remains straightened. Pressing tinted, lightened, or gray unpigmented hair, this requires special hair. Lightened or tinted hair may require conditioning treatments depending to what extent the hair is damaged. Gray hair may be particularly resistant because the cuticle is different structurally. To obtain good results on gray hair, use a moderately heated pressing comb applied with light pressure. Avoid excessive heat as discoloration or breakage can occur. Also want to remember that on a pressing comb, it's not the teeth that do the straightening, it's the round thing where the teeth are metaled in. That round thing, when you turn it, it's going to pull and that will heat the hair up. 2 injuries can occur when hair pressing. Injuries that are the immediate result of hair pressing and cause physical damage include burn hair that breaks off, burned scalp that can cause temporary or permanent hair loss, and burns on the ears and neck that form scars. Injuries that are not immediate evident but can become physical damage later include a skin rash if the client is allergic to pressing oil, and breaking, shortening of hair due to frequent hair pressings. So if you overpress, that can cause color fadage or breakage. Immediate injuries are worse because what happens with immediate injuries, they can cause a permanent hair loss or hurt, and that makes a client less likely to come back to a salon. I'll tell you that the oils that can cause allergies, you want to know what's in it, what's it made out of. It's a lot of mineral oil with fragrance. That's not a good oil you want to use. You want to find one from a more natural source that is either dermatologically studied or has good results in it. Also, with injuries, it's a good time to talk about, well, what happens if I get a scalp injury? Will my hair grow back? So whether you have surgery, a burn, if surgery is intentional, if you're trying to remove something, I don't have an answer for you because everyone is so different, and this is what scientists are studying. Some people can regenerate their hair better than others. I have a family member that had a painting fall on her head, and she actually has this, she doesn't have a scar. Her body was able to heal and regenerate, and she had no permanent hair loss whatsoever, no thinning. Some people get a little bit of a nick from a buzzer, and that causes permanent hair loss there. So you always want to be aware of that. So styling long hair, there's so many ways to style long hair. Long hair is different because if gravity is what's going to pull it down, you can use barrel curls or not barrel curls, but pin curl it. They make specialty irons that are extra long that you can wrap the hair around. Typically long hair, because of gravity, I clip the curls in if I'm using an iron, let it set in for a few minutes, and then hairspray them to give it some hold. An updo is a hairstyle when the hair is arranged up and off the shoulders and secured with implements such as hairpins, bobby pins, and elastic. They require updos for special occasions such as weddings, proms, and evening events. On a more morbid note, I've had people request updos for funerals. If it's like a high-end one, it's in a high-end area, you want to look the part. A few updo techniques are not twist and pleat. Once you master them, you can combine them or advance them. So advanced updo styling is a class I recommend everyone should take when you learn the basics. Start with basics and go to the beginnings. SalonCentric.com, Cosmoprof, they offer education. Brands offer virtual education where you can actually get a DVD. Getting hair DVDs on Amazon or eBay, they're old. If you're on a budget, that works. The Art of Business is such an incredible resource because it includes not only the technique, but how to work this stuff into your classes. Doing a bridal boot camp for professionals, that also is an option. And there's also certain times where you may need to add hair, so you'll do your hair extensions, which we'll talk about next, and we'll apply these same principles to styling them. A knot is a truly classical style. It's also known as a chignon, and it's been popular for centuries. It is created out of a simple ponytail and can be dressed up with flowers or ornaments, or kept simple. If a client's hair is very straight and silky, you may want to first set the hair for 10 minutes with electric rollers, or the style will not last. If the hair is wavy or curly, blow dry the hair straight. If it's extremely curly, you could press the hair or leave it in its natural state for a textured looking chignon. With straight hair, I recommend taking roller setting it, giving it a lot of hairspray. It works really good on like day-old hair, so don't come with super dirty hair because your hair is too greasy. The oil will weigh it down. So come with day-old hair after you wash with a volumizing shampoo and conditioner. You can even pre-prep your hair with a heat spray. Style the hair, pin it up, comb it out in the shape you want. You can add texture. Your twist, this is going to be an elegant style that is sleek and it can go anywhere. If you are working on straight fine hair, you want to first set the hair in electric or Velcro rollers to give it more body. I'd even recommend steam rollers for fine hair because it lasts longer, because you're molecularly changing the hydrogen bonds, and that lasts a lot better with steam. Your pleat, which is also called your French twist. This is the traditional updo that's used for weddings and black tie events. The pleat means fold in French. It is much more severe and controlled than the basic twist, and you could be more creative with its directional placement. That's a tough one to get used to. It took me a lot to master that. One of my Halloween events, if you've seen that video where I took the French twist, I made it look elegant with the mannequin's hair, and I filled it in with some crazy texture, and I built on it. I was originally going to build like a jelly roll shape, but I decided, you know what, I'm going to make this like a Bride of Frankenstein. So as always, client consultation is very important. Have them show you a photo, a video of what they want. If they showed you something your friend had, explain to them your friend might have different textured hair, and that's why I'm going this way. So make sure you're aware of that. Know that hairstyling offers an artistic outlet. We can do so much with styles. You can take a same haircut and give it a million different styles. You can fake a haircut if you pin the hair right. I know that a lot of magazines like that. If you work in editorials, you can do editorial looks, add hair on, make it look crazy, then take it off. You can fake it for photographs if you're doing photo hairstyling. You can make it elegant, formal, whimsical. There's so many avenues in this. But if you're working in the city, you have more chances. If you're working in a more rural area, you're doing something a little bit more conservative. You have to be mindful of that. Have friends over, have fun with it. In this current situation, if you're in an area where you're not hanging out, you can video chat with friends, have a little contest, practice doing these on yourself or your mannequin, and then send photos on Instagram to your other fellow students. That way you can compare each other's work and help each other, support each other, help each other grow. When you're behind the chair, if you know someone who specializes in roller sets and someone else who specializes in bridal, refer each other, and that helps you get clients both ways. So try several styles, see how they look. If a client is coming in for a bridal consultation, do the consultation in the salon, especially if you're not that experienced. Nothing will be worse than having hair go wrong the day of the wedding when the bride is already very stressed, especially if she's a bridezilla. You are going to get a really bad result. So know that trends change quickly. It's important to be familiar with the trends. Also master what happened in the past, because what happened in the past is always reinvented. Have fun with it and enjoy your hairstyling. Get to know your tools, get to know all of that. They give you all kinds of procedures in this section. Pictures are a little crazy, but they give you the general idea. The rollers is a general wet set. You can do additional research into that. They give you some tips. Some stylists find it easier using a tail comb for subsectioning. When you're doing a roller, some stylists do both clips. I typically do just one, keep everything consistent. The clips secure the rollers. They give you the blowouts, and that is pretty much it for this chapter, chapter 17. It's a lengthy chapter. It gives you a lot of tips and tricks. Try the thermal waving. The thermal waving is a fun one. So, yep. Have fun with this chapter. Let me know if you guys have any questions on this. I know it's a lot of information at once. Go through your Cengage and they'll show you some tips. Have fun with hairstyling. Buy a few irons. Test your irons out. Save your money for the trade show event. We go to the trade show, you can get a really good deal. Also, don't be afraid to kind of haggle the price a little bit. Sometimes that might work. The next chapter is going to be braiding and braid extensions or hair extensions. We're going to talk about ethnic hair, some curl patterns, how to add hair using extensions, and dreadlocks and braids. It's going to be a fun chapter. It's a bit of a short one if I'm not mistaken, because then we're going to talk about wigs and extensions in chapter 19. So chapter 18 is super short and it is a really quick chapter. So have a great night. Be safe out there. Relax, and I'll be back with the next chapter, braids and extensions.